Nothing yet, sir! How about you?
Not a thing, sir!
What about you guys? We ain't found shit!
Hello, and welcome back for part 2 of my Dead Ahead guide. Remember previously how I said I was going to take us through location 2 in this section of my walkthrough?
That's what made you did!
I lied.
Not really, but before we begin to clear location 2, I want to give a rundown on Skirmish mode and how it works because you should have already unlocked it by now, and it's a very good way to secure resources, even if you're not into PvP.
Hey, Freak Show! You're going nowhere! I got you for 3 minutes! 3 minutes of playtime!
If you hate PvP, I wouldn't worry too much because Skirmish is about as least PvP as it gets. Skirmish mode is where you will create a team setup from all human units you currently have available and pit them against other players in an automated setting. There's no live matches or trash talking, it's just your setup against a bunch of other people's. How it works is that you'll draw from a pool of 100 courage or rage and place your units on a 4x4 grid. Whatever your units currently have equipped at the time will play into effect here too. That means units that have cost reduction will also have the same reduction in the selection process. Units that have certain set bonuses will use those same items in the matches. Everything remains the same at any given time. At the start, this isn't so important because everyone is around the same level and with the same characters and gear, but later this becomes a driving force in determining the outcome of matches. Swapping gear later might also impact team composition if your total team costs exceed 100 resources, but that's an issue to tackle much further away. For now, let's stick to the basics. There are 10 leagues in total, with 1 being the easiest and 10 the most difficult. Advancing a league requires that you either secure consecutive wins, 8 in the lower leagues if I'm not mistaken, or be in the top half of your current league by reset, which happens once every 2 days. Rewards are given on each reset as well as instant jumps to the next league, allowing you to make purchases from the Skirmish shop. Skirmish is also divided into seasons, with each season lasting for 1 month. There are additional seasonal rewards at the end, so it pays to play this in advance as far as you can. If you are able to get to League 10, you will also be rewarded with a cosmetic chevron rank that goes next to your name from then onwards. So put simply, you will want to do this mode at least once every 2 days to get more rewards. For Leagues 1 to 4, you will need to assemble 1 team. Once you reach League 5, you will need to create a roster of 3 teams using the units you currently own with no single unit repeating on another team. The matches then turn into a best 2 out of 3 style of play. Here, I accidentally forgot to hit the record button, so I've actually already advanced a couple of leagues. But let's play through a bit and see how it ends up. If you followed my guide from part 1, then you shouldn't have too much trouble advancing a couple of leagues. Remember to spend your hard-earned points at the shop. Again, prioritize dollar bills to help secure Austin a bit faster. After that, it's your call, but I'd recommend tokens and or gold, but feel free to indulge yourself. Fortunately, I'm lucky enough to advance a few more leagues and get to League 5. I can already tell that here is where the buck stops because I don't have enough units to make 3 capable teams, but I'll just play through for shits and giggles anyways just to see where I land. And that's about as far as I expected. This is fine because we're not going to totally focus on PvP quite yet. Let's get back to clearing location 2 for now. For clearing location 2, we're going to use the Redneck, his hillbilly skin, Farmer, Policeman Diaz, Mechanic, Pepper, the Red Barrel, and Private Rodriguez once he's available. Private Rodriguez is almost identical to Redneck, but he's an upgrade in just about every way. Although he won't activate the 2-man Redneck faction bonus, unlike Redneck, Private Rodriguez crits do a knockback hit on enemies. Knockbacks in this game bring a tremendous bonus of allowing you to hit without being hit, keeping enemies further away from the bus, and allowing melee and rage units to get another hit before being hit themselves. It's possible to do consecutive knockbacks on enemies and never get touched. Rodriguez is by many accounts a top tier fighter in this game, outclassed only by a very few select units. I don't expect the first handful of missions to be difficult for you, so I'm going to speed things up a bit until we get to what might be our first obstacle, this location's boss. So let's fast forward things a bit. As these are progressing, I want to stress the importance of continuously doing supply runs when you have keys. It takes 24 hours to regenerate all 8 keys, but optimally, it's best to always have keys on cooldown so you don't waste time sitting idle with 8 for 8 keys. At times, this might have the adverse effect of keeping you poor since it costs gold to upgrade items to higher levels, but this is the best way to make our roster stronger, so don't shy away from doing that. Of course, in real life stuff happens, so don't worry if you don't keep up with that all the time. Whatever works best. Just know that if things get tough, then in all likelihood you need to make your equipment stronger and or level up your units a bit more. This cutscene here, I suspect, is our first real bit of story progression. I don't want to spoil too much, not that I could, but it seems a lot of the story will involve a prison later on, so these two now former jailers might have a bit to share later on in the story. Here, we're going to experience our first adverse weather effect. Dead Ahead has quite a few weather effects in the game that impact gameplay. This one, the Sandstorm, is a strong gust of wind that decreases your unit's movement speed. Since you're always facing a headwind and the zombies always have a tailwind, it further makes things difficult by giving them a speed boost as well. This makes some zombies like the dogs much more of a pain to deal with, but with some good timing, it's usually not too bad. You just need to time things a bit more carefully. Cheap melee units are the way to go here. Once again, we're able to unlock the next location, but just as we did before, we want to finish location 2 before moving onwards. So let's just unlock location 3 and then head back. While the levels are playing out, I should bring up some aspects about items you may or may not have noticed by now. As you probably have noticed though, each character is able to equip up to 4 items. Each item set has a canteen or mug, a weapon, a watch, clock or something related to time, and a book or magazine. The canteens will always boost health. The weapons will always improve flat damage. The watches will affect that unit's prep time or agility, and the magazines give larger than usual percentage boosts to either health, melee damage, range damage, crit chance, or crit damage. When you are leveling up items, you will want to think about which ones take priority. Early on, I think it's best to focus on weapons and cups first, then magazines and watches second, unless one of their secondary stats really fits in line with your unit's needs. Again, set bonuses won't matter until we are able to gain access to epic quality items, which for us will happen in part 3 of this guide. Okay, here we are at the location's boss zombie, the Crane Zombie. Actually, his real name is just Boss, but for the sake of easier identification, we'll call him the Crane Boss. Before I delve into the strategy, let's have a go at him and see what happens. Ouch. So he hits pretty hard, and his attacks do damage to the bus from afar. That puts a damper on our goal to get 3 stars for each level. Or does it? If you recall earlier to part 1 of my guide, I said to unlock the Redneck's Hillbilly skin. Well, now's the time to take it out because we're going to employ a team bonus here to down this boss with 3 stars without breaking a sweat. Before we talk boss strategy, we need to go over something even more important. Teams, or factions as I call them. Actually, I sort of use the 2 terms interchangeably, so apologies in advance for any confusion there. Having multiple members of the same team will grant additional bonuses. The bonuses are applied when your current roster has either 2, 3, or 5 members of the same team on it. In fact, you may or may not already have noticed, but until this point, we've actually been utilizing a faction bonus the whole time. The 2-man redneck perk of having a chance to have additional courage drop when a redneck is hit. It's partially why I went with this setup at the start. It's to help secure additional courage for faster and easier wins. It also helps that these 2 guys are available from the start. Regarding factions, you can read about each team and their perks by tapping the eye icon on the team menu. You can also access this from the unit menu by tapping on that current skin team icon. At the moment, there are currently 16 available teams. Some skins and units, however, are not yet assigned to the team, so be aware of that. To a team, I should say. Actually, the entire topic of factions is a huge part of this game and merits its own video, so I'll try to make this brief. For this particular encounter and others like it, we will put the Hillbilly and Mechanic on our team roster, so we can use the Mechanic team's 2-man perk of automatically repairing the bus each time a member of that faction comes out. This will counter Crane Boss's slam damage against the bus, which is minor but still a nuisance. Now that we're using our 2-man Mechanic perk, we don't have to worry about damage to the bus from the Crane Boss's slam. His pattern is this: he will alternate states between being invincible and being defenseless, switching between the 2 after each slam attack. Like the paramedic zombie, blue eyes means he's invincible, and yellow eyes means he's defenseless. Also, while he has blue eyes, you'll sort of notice bits of debris floating up from the ground around him as well. Again, he'll switch back and forth between these 2 states after each ground slam. His ground slam, as you've noticed, kills everything, including other zombies. So you don't have to worry too much about them either, provided they are not overwhelming the bus. What we want to do is attack him after the ground slam that toggles his eyes to yellow, his vulnerable state. Then, after he will slam again and become invincible once more. Bide your time again, keeping the bus safe from other zombies. Don't send out anything too significant because he can't be harmed until after his next ground slam. Once he does it once more and his eyes are yellow again, go ahead and send everything you got. That should be enough, but if it's not, then just rinse and repeat. Be sure to keep the bus healthy, especially when he's close to death, so you don't miss out on getting 3 stars. He is a little trickier than the paramedic zombie, so this might take you a couple of tries to do. It's not a big deal, so long as you understand the pattern. Now that he's done and out of the way, we can continue to clear the location. A lot of these levels might seem pretty easy for you, and if they are, then feel free to skip ahead to the challenges or whatever else might suit your interests. Both of these choices are excellent and must-haves. For now though, we'll pick up Rodriguez, but we will purchase Polina a little bit later because we'll be wanting to have her for the next area. Here we have our second weather effect, Heat Wave. As the description says, it slows down courage generation, which sucks, but is not too terrible. Factions that provide extra courage like rednecks and/or heavy use of support items help here. Also, later you might gain access to the Psycho faction, whose core team members use rage instead of courage, helping to alleviate reliance on courage.
Hide this tape when I'm finished. If none of us make it, at least there'll be some kind of a record. The storm's been hitting us pretty hard now for 48 hours. We still have nothing to go on. One other thing. I think it rips through your clothes when it takes you over. Windows found some shredded long johns, but the name tag was missing. They could be anybody's. We're all very tired. There's nothing else I can do. Just wait. R.J. McCready, helicopter pilot, U.S. Outpost North 31.
And with that challenge done, we're finally done with location 2. I should probably apologize because a lot of this I sort of just let it run without any kind of commentary running through, but I didn't want to distract from what it was that we were focused on. So with that said, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Let me know what you think in the comments below.